The underground boxing gym beneath Iron Bridge Arena smelled of sweat, metal, and ego. Its walls were papered with faded posters of champions long retired, but none of them commanded as much attention or as much attitude as Dante the Hammer Rourke, the undefeated regional champion who walked like he owned the floor itself. He was as large as the rumors said, broad-shouldered, carved like stone, and fueled by the kind of arrogance only an undefeated record could create. Every punch he landed on the heavy bag echoed through the gym like a warning. Eyes followed him. People stepped aside. The world, at least in Dante's mind, bent around him. But on this particular evening, someone new walked in. Someone Dante didn't bother to notice, at least not yet. Her name was Nia Brooks, a 22-year-old college athlete who had recently discovered boxing as a way to rebuild herself after a year of setbacks she rarely spoke about. Tall, toned, and quiet, Nia carried herself not with swagger, but with a calm intensity that made a few heads turn. She tied her braids back, slipped on worn gloves, and moved to an empty section of the gym. Her footwork was light, rhythmic. Her punches were clean, precise, too controlled for someone labeled beginner. But she didn't boast. She didn't brag. She didn't need anyone's approval. Which, of course, was exactly why Dante noticed her. He had been boasting loudly about his next televised match, surrounded by his usual crowd of eager nods and forced laughter. But when he saw Nia working the bag, his smirk faltered. Not because he admired her technique, not because he saw potential. It was because she wasn't looking at him. Dante hated that. He strutted across the gym like a challenge wrapped in muscle. "Hey," he called out, loud enough for the entire gym to hear. "You got some hands on you, but your stance is sloppy. Who taught you to box? YouTube?" Nia didn't flinch. She didn't even pause her movements. "Just working on what I know," she said calmly. The crowd immediately sensed the tension. They circled closer. A few whispered. Nobody, absolutely nobody, ever brushed Dante off. "Working on what you know," Dante repeated with a scoff. He stepped closer, towering over her. "You act like you know something." Nia finally stopped the bag and looked up at him. Her eyes were steady, not scared, not impressed. "Just training," she said. The lack of fear irritated him. "You think you can fight?" She shrugged, not to provoke, but because the question felt silly. "I'm learning." Dante grinned. A predator spotting prey. "Oh, you're learning? Well, how about a free lesson from the champ?" People murmured. A few shook their heads. This wasn't going to be a sparring session. Dante wasn't offering a lesson. He was offering public humiliation. Nia felt it too. She wasn't stupid. She saw the intention in his eyes. "I'm good," she replied. Dante laughed, an exaggerated, mocking sound. "Come on now. Don't be scared. I'm just trying to help you out." He leaned closer. "Unless you know you can't handle me." The gym held its breath. Nia's jaw tightened, but her voice stayed level. "I came to work, not to be part of whatever this is." She gestured vaguely toward the audience he'd gathered. The crowd oohed. Dante's expression cracked. He wasn't used to anyone refusing to play along. He stepped even closer. "What's wrong? Afraid you'll embarrass yourself? Afraid to get hit?" Nia stared him dead in the eyes. "No, I just don't fight people who aren't here to train." That line hit harder than any punch. The gym erupted. Dante's ego ignited. "All right," he said loudly, "new rule. Anyone who uses this gym better be able to back up their mouth." He lifted his gloves and tapped them together. "Get in the ring." Nia shook her head. "I'm not here for stupid games." Dante smirked. "Everyone's watching. You really want to be the girl who backed down? Thought you had some fire in you." Whispers spread like smoke. "Is she scared?" Dante's calling her out. "I thought she could fight." Nia closed her eyes for a moment. She didn't care what people thought of her, but she did care about being cornered, about being forced into a narrative she didn't choose. She took a breath. "Fine," she said quietly. "I'll spar you." The gym exploded with excitement. Dante raised his arms triumphantly as if he'd already won. "Let's go, little rookie." Nia removed her gloves silently, replaced them with her sparring pair, and climbed into the ring. Dante strutted up the steps like a showman. Inside the ring, the energy shifted. The ropes trembled. The air thickened. Anya didn't talk. She didn't posture. She simply rolled her shoulders and exhaled. Dante laughed at her calmness. You ready to learn humility? The bell rang. Dante surged forward instantly. It wasn't a sparring move, it was a domination move. He threw heavy jabs at full power, aiming to overwhelm her right from the start. Nia slipped back, surprised by the aggression, but she adjusted quickly. Dante's punches came like hammers, but sloppy, more strength than control. He pushed her around the ring, using his size to corner her repeatedly. The crowd cheered him on. Nia blocked what she could and absorbed the rest with disciplined movement. But she wasn't fighting back, not yet. Dante saw that as weakness. "Oh, come on. Hit me," he taunted. "Or is this too much for you?" He swung wide, missing her cheek by inches as she ducked. "She's scared. She won't throw. Come on, girl, do something." The comments were louder than the punches. Nia felt her heartbeat shaking through her gloves. She had agreed to the fight, but she hated the spectacle of it. She hated feeling like she was performing on command. Every instinct told her to step down, to walk away. But walking away would mean giving Dante exactly what he wanted. Proof that she didn't belong here. So she steadied her stance. Dante swung. Again, too confident, too reckless. Nia slipped inside the punch and landed a clean jab to his ribs. It wasn't hard. It wasn't dramatic. It was precise. The sound made the crowd gasp. Dante froze, shocked. She had hit him. Her first punch of the fight. And it was good. Oh, she caught him! That was clean. Did you see her footwork? Dante's expression darkened. You want to play like that? He growled. He rushed forward with a flurry of punches that had nothing to do with boxing. They were fueled by ego and rage, telegraphed so widely that Nia saw them coming like incoming storms. She blocked one, slipped another, then another. Sweat dripped down her face as she danced away from his attacks. The crowd shifted. Some still rooted for Dante, but others were starting to see what was really happening. She's not scared. She's actually kind of good. Dante's swinging wild. But nobody said the truth out loud. Nia was the better fighter technically, just not the stronger one, and Dante, infuriated, began using his strength like a weapon. He shoved her shoulder. He trapped her in corners. He leaned his weight on her against the ropes. Each time the coach tried to intervene, Dante stepped back just enough to avoid a warning. Nia's breath grew heavy. She could feel her arms weakening from absorbing so many blows. She needed space. She needed control. She needed... Dante faked a right hook and slammed his shoulder into her chest. The crowd gasped. Nia stumbled backward, hitting the canvas hard. Dante raised his arms in triumph, smirking down at her. "Stay down," he mocked. "You're not built for this." Nia's ears rang. Her vision blurred. For a moment, she considered ending it. Letting the humiliation finish early. Letting Dante win his little performance. But then she saw something, faint but undeniable, in the crowd. A few people weren't cheering at all. They were watching her, expecting her, rooting for her. Not because she was the underdog, because she was fighting with dignity in a place that had none. She pushed herself up, slowly, deliberately. The gym fell silent. Dante's smirk faded into irritation. "You don't know when to quit." "No," Nia said softly, wiping blood from her lip. "I just don't quit when someone else wants me to." The bell rang for the next round. Something changed in the air. Dante came at her full speed, but Nia wasn't the same fighter who entered the ring. 15 minutes earlier, she had measured his rhythm, studied his habits, learned exactly where his strength left openings. He threw a cross. She stepped inside. He swung a hook. She ducked and pivoted. He overextended. She slid past him with perfect timing. Dante grew frustrated, then furious, then sloppy. Nia's breathing steadied. Her eyes sharpened. She wasn't just defending anymore. She was analyzing him, studying him, waiting. And then, just as Dante launched another wild punch, Nia moved. The jab landed so cleanly on his jaw that Dante's head snapped back. The room exploded. Oh, she tagged him. That was real. She can win this. Dante staggered backward, touching his jaw in disbelief. His arrogance cracked. His control cracked. His confidence cracked. Nia straightened, breathing hard but steady. The crowd murmured with electric anticipation. And Dante, red-faced and humiliated at being touched by someone he intended to embarrass, lunged at her with reckless fury. And that was when the unthinkable started to take shape. The gym vibrated with a tension none of its walls had ever held before. No one expected the fight to go this far, least of all Dante Rourke, who now paced the ring like a cornered animal. Sweat slicked his brow and his jaw still ached from the clean, undeniable punch Nya had landed. Naya stood across from him, chest rising and falling in controlled breaths. She wasn't untouched. Her ribs throbbed, her lip bled. Her legs burned, but something deeper had awakened in her. She wasn't here for validation anymore. She wasn't here to prove a thing to the crowd or to Dante. She was here because she refused to be small. The bell for the next round hadn't rung yet, but the silence in the gym felt louder than any sound. Conversation stopped mid-sentence. Shuffling feet froze. Phones hovered in hands, recording. Everyone sensed something shifting, something they didn't have words for yet. Then the bell chimed. Dante rushed forward instantly, determined to reclaim the dominance slipping through his fingers. But this time Nya didn't shrink, didn't back away, didn't wait. She stepped into the center of the ring and met him head-on. Their gloves collided with a thunderous clap. Dante snarled, "You think you're some kind of hero now?" Nya didn't reply. She let her actions speak. Dante swung a heavy right hook, his signature move. Nya ducked under it with perfect timing, her braids brushing the canvas as she slipped out of danger. She rose with a fast counter jab that clipped Dante's cheek. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Dante swung again, this time more recklessly, his pride burning hotter than his skill. Nya sidestepped, pivoted behind him, and struck his ribs twice in rapid succession. The sound, thud, thud, echoed like drum beats. Dante stumbled forward, shocked. "That's it, girl." She's piecing him up. "He's losing it." The crowd's reaction stung Dante's ego like salt on a wound. He turned, face flushed with rage, and launched himself toward her in a charging motion. More brawler than boxer. Abandoning technique entirely, Nya's eyes sharpened. She waited. At the last possible second, she pivoted sharply to the side. Dante's own momentum betrayed him. He stumbled past her, catching himself on the ropes. The gym erupted. Nya didn't attack immediately. She was breathing hard, calculating, waiting for the right moment. She wasn't trying to humiliate him. She wasn't trying to destroy him. She wasn't trying to win anything but her own self-respect. But Dante didn't understand restraint. He only saw an audience watching him lose control. And that was unforgivable. He came at her again, wild, furious, desperate. His gloves swung like hammers, but his punches sloppy, predictable. Naya weaved through them as if she'd stepped into another dimension, one where everything moved slower. Her senses sharpened. Her instincts took over. All the discipline she'd practiced, the footwork, the timing, the patience aligned. She blocked a jab, slipped under a hook, leaned away from an uppercut. With every miss, Dante grew more frantic. With every movement, Naya grew more confident. Dante's fading. She's reading him like a book. This is crazy. Dante's breathing turned ragged. His swings lost speed. His feet dragged. He was exhausted and humiliated, and the crowd, his crowd, was watching. Finally, Dante leaned in too far, throwing a desperate overhand punch that slammed into nothing but empty air as Nya tilted back. His entire body weight shifted forward. His guard dropped. Nya saw her opening. Not an opening for domination. Not an opening for revenge. An opening to end this. She stepped in, her left foot planted, her right fist tightened. She twisted her hips and threw a clean, sharp cross straight to Dante's jaw. The impact cracked through the gym like a lightning strike. Dante's head snapped sideways. His knees buckled. For a heartbeat, he teetered. Then the unthinkable happened. Dante Rourke, the undefeated, unchallenged, arrogant champion, fell to the canvas. Flat. Silence swallowed the room. Absolute stunned silence. Then chaos erupted. "No way!" She dropped him. She actually knocked him down. "This is insane. Someone record this." Phones lifted everywhere. People climbed onto benches. Others stared with hands over their mouths, unsure whether they'd just witnessed a miracle or a scandal. Nya stared at Dante's fallen body, chest heaving, sweat dripping from her chin. She wasn't triumphant. She wasn't smiling. She wasn't celebrating. She was simply stunned. The referee rushed in. Dante's coach yelled at him to get up. His teammates shouted excuses. Dante pushed himself up slowly, groaning in disbelief. His eyes were wide, wild, furious, not because it hurt, but because of what it meant. He got to his knees, looked at Naya, And for the first time, he looked uncertain. You lucky, he began, but the words died in his throat. He couldn't find a version of the story where he wasn't the villain. The coach approached the ring apron. Dante, that's enough. The round's done. It's not done, Dante spat. I'm not done. He stood wobbling, refusing to let the knockdown define him. Get back here. Nia shook her head. I'm done. This wasn't a fight. This was ego. Her voice carried through the gym like a calm, resonant bell. She dropped her gloves to the mat. The gesture wasn't defeat, it was statement. She wasn't playing his game anymore. She wasn't proving anything anymore. Dante staggered forward. You don't walk out on me. Nia gave him a steady look. No, Dante, you don't get to decide when people walk away. The gym fell silent again. Dante froze. Because somewhere deep inside where fists couldn't reach, those words hit him harder than the punch that floored him. Nia stepped through the ropes, slow and deliberate. People moved out of her way, not because she intimidated them, but because respect flowed around her like a current. Conversations hushed as she passed. Even the loudest regulars stayed silent. She walked through the center of the gym, bruised and breathless, but upright, carrying something stronger than victory. Dignity, strength, self-respect forged in fire. People parted like water as she approached the exit. But just before she reached the door, a voice called out, Nya! She turned. It was the gym owner, Elias, gray-haired, thick-bearded, and respected by everyone. Come back tomorrow, he said simply. You've got a place here. A real place. Nya nodded once. Thank you. She stepped outside into the cool night air. The door closed behind her, muffling the noise of a gym forever changed. Inside, Dante stood in the ring, staring at the spot where she'd stood moments earlier. He wasn't angry anymore. He wasn't humiliated. He was humbled. For the first time in his career, he understood something he had always ignored. Strength wasn't measured by muscle, or ego, or the size of the crowd yelling your name. Strength was measured by the courage to face someone who underestimated you and rise above them without becoming them. And Nia Brooks had just shown everyone in that gym what real strength looked like.